MacDonald, Marcia MacDonald. I was inducted into the Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame in 2005, and in 2019 I was honored at the International Swimming Hall of Fame. Tonight, I have the pleasure to introduce to you my friend, many of our friends, Marcia Cleveland, to be inducted into the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame class of 2020 as an honor swimmer. Tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about friendship, dedication, and inspiration. Marcia grew up in Connecticut, and so did I. We both are about the same age. We both were probably in the same age groups, swimming in short course, you know, the short pools. Marcia was in Greenwich, I was in Manchester. Marcia was probably in the fastest heat, and I was probably 3 heats later. But eventually, something happened in the late 1980s, and we both met here in Manhattan. I was studying, Marcia was working, I don't know, she was newly married. That didn't really matter to us because we were just swimming. But I remember being back here in Manhattan in the last few weeks. I haven't slept all that much because all these memories have come back. And I might get a little emotional because those swimmers, it was either Central Park or the swimmers that helped me get through Manhattan for 6 years. Because I'm not really a country girl. Well, I'm not a country girl, but I'm a suburban girl, okay? So I'm definitely not a city girl. And thanks to Marcia, and I remember Marcia welcoming me as a swimmer for masters swimming. Remember the short pools, everybody? And I know we don't like pools anymore. But when all you're looking for is water here in Manhattan, that's all you had. Okay, so we had the West Side Y, we had all these city colleges that, and I asked Marcia today, how did we even communicate with each other? Yeah. Because we didn't have these phones. And I really don't even remember. I think that she says there was a phone tree, but I was living in it. I don't even remember anything about that. I just remember showing up at a workout and saying, okay, next workout Saturday at City College. Okay, you know, I'd ride my bike up in there every day. But also carpooling to Roberto Clemente State Park, early morning, almost every single morning in the summer for a long course. Yeah. And it was one of the dirtiest pools around. Anyway, I won't get into that for our long course workouts. I also do remember our carpooling up to Greenwich for our little, which we thought were big, 1 or 2 mile swims. Right. But they were great. It was just, there was such a community with us. And then we went our separate, well, we didn't really go our separate ways, but then, you know, I went up to Connecticut, and I just remember Marcia as being a very welcoming swimmer, but a very focused swimmer. And if you know Marcia, she's very focused. And she's very organized, okay, which is great, okay, because we all need organization, okay. So this is Marcia's short list of swims, and this is oh my God. This is a long list. Oh my God. Okay, and I will not be going over all of them. Oh okay. My gosh. She's done a lot of swimming, like many of us, but you can Google Marcia and find out everything else about her, about the water. But there are two kind of swims that I want to focus on. Marcia has the fastest total time for the Triple Crown. And if you all know what Triple Crown is.
Young and fast.
English Channel, Catalina, and right here. Manhattan. How many of you swim around Manhattan? Hello?
Okay.
How many of you swim 20? Some odd times. Okay. Marcia has the record-breaking time at 5 hours and 57 minutes. Now that is like fast.
Rondi broke it recently.
Now, if you remember swimming, or if you've crewed for somebody around Manhattan, you know how fast the normal swimmer goes around Manhattan. And it's fast. I mean, we're going pretty fast for 28.5 miles. And going up that East River, we're flying, we're almost swimming. You probably were swimming just as fast as those cars were driving up the East.
That did.
FDR. I do remember that. FDR highway. Okay. And I don't even know, you can tell us later about how the Hudson River was, but you were flying around that water. You were probably beating the circle line.
That was a good day.
Close to it.
Yeah.
So the list of Marcia's swims go on and on, but one of the most interesting things with Marcia is, that was back in the early 90s, and as we have gone 30 years, Marcia and Mark have raised two wonderful children, Julia and Sam, and they've always been with her. Mark has always been there, and these two young kids have always been on the beach with Marcia. I have a special memory, and I know there's a few people in this crowd that have. In 2003, when Marcia organized our relay for a double crossing of the channel, the English Channel, of course, that's the channel.
Right.
And I just remember our wonderful beach practices with Julia and Sam on the beach, and it was just a fantastic time. I mean, we have lifelong, Marcia, you made lifelong friends for the six of us, okay? Scott Lutman, Henry Eckstein, who else? Morris. Well, Morris swam the day after our swim.
Yes.
That's another part of our story.
Right.
So it was 2, 3, 4, Christian,
Right.
and Vince.
Right.
Yeah, so, friends forever. We finished the double, probably about 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Marcia gets to finish at St. Margaret's Bay, and we head back to Dover. Marcia and I grab 2 hours of sleep, and we meet Mike Orm with Morris, with Scott and Deb for Morris's channel crossing. And there's another combination there. So it was just an amazing week, weekend. So talk about inspiring. Marcia, you have trained swimmers, you've inspired swimmers through the years. Does anybody remember how to read?
I know.
This is a book.
Yeah.
Okay. Marcia wrote this book called Dover Solo. There's so many people probably in this audience that have read it, and there's so many people around the world that have read it. Thank goodness you are the dedicated, the control person that you are. You taught people who to talk to, how to swim. We thank you for that, Marcia. Dover Solo, I mean, you really taught everybody how to succeed at swimming. If they follow this plan, they'll succeed at swimming the channel or any of our log swims. So we thank you, and now I get to welcome you, Marcia Cleveland, from the United States of America.
not paper, wow, it's supposed
No,
to
it's
be
not.
for real. Wow, thank you, okay. So I guess I'll just, maybe I can do that to Chris, there we go. Thanks, okay, well. Whew, I should just sit down now because I think Marcy said it all. At this point, Marcy and I have been friends for a long, long time, and that was an amazing introduction, Marcy. I can maybe answer some of those questions later. But it was, it's like many others have said, I've just done what my passion in life, and I've just kept moving forward that way. You know, Marcy, your friendship has been amazing. I mean, we have seen each other through so many things. Your enthusiasm, your ability. When I was pregnant with Juliet, Marcy was rubbing my belly, hoping for her girl. She got her girl. We both did. Many of us did. So it's really been an honor to be elected into this esteemed hall, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to do this after a 3-year hiatus. It almost seems like it's like you were back to the future here. There are a lot of people to thank and who helped me get there into the hall. And I want to start out by thanking my husband, Mark, of 33 years. I wouldn't be here without your love and support today, so thank you, Mark. I also want to thank all the honorees in the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame and the Executive Committee and my peers who elected me. So, and I also want to thank everybody here tonight. I'm just overwhelmed at how many of you are here. I'm just amazed at how far and wide people have come, and it's just such an honor to be here. And I also just really want to thank everybody who went to Coney Island this morning to swim. That was really fun. It was really fun. So I just greatly appreciate you being here. So, and to my family and friends who are here tonight, and everybody from all over the world, you know, thank you for your encouragement and help. And especially Marcy MacDonald and Liz Fry and Nora Toledano, one of my training partners, Stephanie Henry and Chris Layton, who's here, David and Leslie Blank, Chris Redford, and Richard Clifford, who is the best kayaker ever, but now he's retired. So thank you. And I want to thank my age group coaches, Mark Newcomb and Walter Rothenheber, who instilled in me the self-discipline and a real strong work ethic. And later, when I was in New York, as a young master swimmer, it was Foster de Jesus who made me realize what was possible, and he really helped me to get there. I treasure all of you. I also want to thank my crew members and all my supporters, because it really takes a village to do one of these swims, as all of you know. I want to thank my daughter, who is just starting to be a crew member, a really good one if you need one in New York. Julia Green. And, you know, for all my crew and supporters, you know, you all work really hard, and when we get to the finish line, it is always a team victory. You're the best, and I'm so grateful to all of you. So getting into the hall has been an unexpected part of my life's journey. I first visited the hall when I was 8, and it made a really big impact on me. I knew I wasn't the type of swimmer, though, who was ever be an honoree, but I love swimming, and I just kept at it. And then all of a sudden, when I did not expect this at all, Ned calls me up, and 50 years later, I'm giving this speech. So hang in there, folks. So I started to think about why I was selected, and I came up with a few things that I've done in swimming that have just simply been part of my life. As Marcy mentioned, and I didn't even know this, you know, since 1991, I've completed dozens of marathon swims. And it looks like it's more than dozens at this point, including the fastest time for the Triple Crown, and that was something I did not know existed until long after I completed it. Actually, when it was announced that I was the fastest one, I got a text at 4 o'clock in the morning from Richard saying congratulations, and I said, what for? And I'm starting to think about who it could be, and I'm literally thinking about, and I was like, oh, wow. So anyway, and also I've had 2 distinct careers, and this was one before Mark and I had children when I was fast, and then another one started when Julia went to college when I was much slower, but probably a little bit wiser. So in 1999, I published the book Dover Solo about my English Channel swim. And if any of you know me, I have kept track of every single workout I've done since I was 15 years old. So that's somebody's graduate school project at some point. But anyway, at the time, there were very few accounts of marathon swims, and the internet was in its infancy. So we couldn't Google things and nothing like that. So I wrote Dover Solo as a memoir so the waves wouldn't get any higher and the water wouldn't get any colder. And it just continues to amaze me how many people still read this book and adapt my experience to suit their own needs. Because that was another thing that was really cool about this, is that people said, well, you did this and I did this. And I'm like, that's great that you figured out a way for yourself to do it. So it just really makes it a really gratifying, experience to have written Dover Solo in the book, and that it just continues to, inspire people and help them to get to their goals. So speaking of the English Channel, when I swam it in 1994, Marcy and I trained a lot together, as she mentioned before, and it was both of our first crossings. Marcy went on to about, what are we at, 21 or 22 and counting, I don't know. 18? Only, okay. So, and then when I was in England, and I met Nora, and I just met so many others who would become lifelong friends instantly. And that experience really opened up my eyes to what was possible in this world of marathon swimming. So all the majors I've done since then have had their challenges, but like life, it's working through those hard parts. It creates a memorable journey, and mine continues to grow. So when I swam the Cook Strait in New Zealand this past March, I loved every stroke of it, and it was just like my English Channel swim, how much I loved it, and that was nearly 30 years ago. So swimming continues to be a big part of my life, on the good days and the bad, and for better or for worse. It has helped me to set goals and work towards achieving them. Swimming has taught me patience, humility, grace, and kindness. I've learned to deal with the occasional successes, but the abundance of losses, usually figuring it out along the way, and often by the seat of my pants. We always take duct tape and a Sharpie on all of my boats, and that has fixed a lot of problems in the world. So these traits, they just help me now to counsel new folks to the sport, or calm those who are panicking and freaking out, the things that I did a lot in my junior years. I'm also at the point where I can answer the questions that I urgently once asked when I was young and restless, and I had to know ahead of time how the race was going to end. And what I found out is that it took me a long time to learn that that's the answer you get only if you take the journey. So, what has been so important to me is giving back as a swimmer, a coach, a mentor, and a lifetime supporter of the International Swimming Hall of Fame. And if I take anything away from my swimming career, knowing how many people I've helped would be at the top of the list. I realize that my selection to the Hall has been a gratifying stop along this journey. And during my voyage, the global community I've become a part of, the friendships I've developed, and the help I've been able to give others continues to grow and gives me great joy. I'm looking forward to many more swims for all of us. May we continue to inspire the future generations and keep paying it forward. I plan to keep on swimming. Thank you.